Welcome to Hughes From The Heart, my friends. This is a free episode of my podcast. It's a daily adventure in positivity, and God knows we need it now more than ever. It's a podcast about health and wellness, meditation, mindfulness, minimalism, the law of attraction, prosperity thinking, the power of the subconscious mind. I seek out and find and present to you stories of good people doing good things in a good world. And I do it all with love in my heart for you and a smile on my face. Because you know you can tell a smile on a podcast. I'm smiling right now. You can't not hear a smile. What's going on out there in your world? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're safe. I hope you're sane. I hope people are treating you well in your world. I hope you're happy, because ultimately that's what we all want. And everything we do, everything we seek, everything we acquire, we hope is in the belief, really, we do it out of the belief that we're going to be happier because of these things, right? Nobody, generally speaking, pursues things because they think it's going to make them miserable and make their life worse. We pursue the things we pursue, whatever that happens to be, because we believe they'll make us happy. So that's what I try to focus on this positivity podcast, things that make us happy, things that give you confidence in yourself, your fellow human beings, and the world in which we live. And if you support this kind of stuff, then damn it already, sign up for the podcast. Seriously, it's a free episode, but my hope and my dream is to do this full time, and I can't do it full time, kind of running it as a charity, if you will. I'm providing a service, and in exchange for this service, you can subscribe to it for as little as $1 a month. There are different tier levels, and you can find all that out at patreon.com/Spencer Hughes. Patreon, patreon.com/Spencer Hughes. This free podcast episode has to do with a lot of people in quarantine. And quarantine has come to mean not so much like quarantine like in the military sense or in the hospital sense, like you're locked down and there's a guard at your door making sure you don't get out. We're talking more here about voluntary quarantine more than anything else. Maybe your community or your state. I'm in Washington State, which for a while was the epicenter of the deaths, and now New York has overtaken us by far. But we have shelter-in-place orders where we're not really supposed to be out and about right now, unless it's to get to an essential job we go to, or grocery shopping, or things like that. We're not supposed to be really moving around until further notice. And that means a lot of people spending way more time at home. It's something I deal with on Hughes From The Heart, how it's changed our family relationships and family dynamics. Personally, myself, I'm one of those currently in my life kind of working stupid instead of working smart, and I'm trying to change that with the success of the podcast, actually. But I have been known for my 18, 19-hour work days, starting my radio job at 4:30 in the morning, and then leaving that at 10 in the morning, kind of my part-time job, and then going to a full-time job, which takes up another 8, 9, 10 hours of the day, and then come home and somehow have enough energy to podcast and spend a few minutes with my family, and then rinse and repeat. So I went from that extreme to being home all the time. And that means all the time. I'm here. I do the radio show from home. I was laid off 3 days into a new job. I don't say that for you to feel sorry for me. It's just life, and they say I'll be back at some point whenever the state of Washington deems it safe enough for me to go back to work, I guess. So there's a lot of uncertainty, not just for myself, but for millions of people out there, maybe even yourself. Maybe you were laid off. Maybe you were fired. Maybe you were looking for work, and now it's damn near impossible to find work in whatever career area you were looking at before, because maybe people aren't hiring, and then you have other people like grocery stores that are hiring like crazy. So there's a lot of craziness up in the air and a lot of confusion. And in addition to spending time with our families, a lot of us are spending extra time with our pets. I know our yellow lab Peregrine is enjoying doing the radio show with me, well, at least at my feet, snoring and sleeping while I'm doing the show. Hopefully listeners aren't doing the same thing. But he likes laying at my feet on his pillows while I do the show. So I'm spending extra time with him. I'm walking 5 miles a day, and I take him with me on most of those walks. It's good exercise for him. He's not used to me walking him because I'm never home to do it. So I thought this podcast topic would be a good one. I found it from entrepreneur.com and also USA Today, kind of combining the two sources on dealing with our pets, particularly dogs, although there'll be some mention of cats in here. My sons have a lot of reptiles. Okay, we're not dealing with reptiles in this podcast because I honestly don't know how reptiles are doing with quarantine. I don't know if they even care. I'm a big reptile fan myself. I love them, but I don't know that most people are affecting them in the same way during quarantine as our dogs and our cats and things like that, and vice versa. There's no doubt that our pets help us deal with mental stress. They help us relax. We know that after a long day at work, it's nice to have the pooch come up and lay on our lap or watching TV maybe, lay at our feet while we're reading a book, maybe sleep with us in the bed even. And even fish can be very relaxing. Not the kind that you fry up on the pan if you love seafood. I'm talking about the fish in your aquarium. And watching fish in an aquarium has been proven to help you feel calmer and to reduce your stress levels. So even fish can help you relax. And our animals, especially dogs, cats, I don't know so much. I guess cats recognize that we're home more, but they can kind of take us or leave us most of the time, right? I mean, that's the reality. We have cats. We have 3 cats, and we love them to death, but they kind of do their own thing. They look for love on their own terms and on their own schedules. But maybe we're interacting more socially with our animals than we have been maybe ever. And this podcast is here to help us to kind of focus on their needs too, right? We're around them more, they're around us more. So let's groom them more, spend a little more time on them. Maybe spoil them a little bit, keep them a little fresher than usual. Maybe whip something up in the kitchen because now you're not at work. I know I'm not at work during the day where I'm just kind of nuking something in the company microwave oven. I actually have time to make meals now for the family more than ever. And maybe whip something up for your favorite pet, too. Something safe for them and something healthy, but maybe something out of the ordinary that they're not used to enjoying. And it's okay to be a little extra indulgent with your pets, according to experts, but you don't want to go overboard because this stuff will pass. As bad as this pandemic may be, it's going to pass, and eventually we are going to be back kind of on normal relations with our pets and with each other. To some extent, I think it's going to be like after 9/11 where some things never really went back to normal, right? But I think most things will eventually go back to normal, including all this extra time with our pets. Sadly, we'll go back into the workforce. A lot of us will be gone those long hours, and the animals will have to adjust. So don't necessarily go overboard in spoiling them. But here are some things that we can do. By the way, the CDC says there's no evidence that any animals in the U.S. have contracted or can spread the virus. There have been kind of these stories on the fringe that some animals tested positive and things like that. But as of this podcast, we don't really have any evidence of that. So quarantining them is an unnecessary measure, according to the experts. As for the Pomeranian in China, that story, the initial assumption was that he tested weak positive due to contamination around his nose or something from his owner who had coronavirus, but he was quarantined and was later tested as negative. But you should still take precautions. I walk our dog up and down our private road. I run into maybe 2 people on each walk. So 2 people over the span of 5 miles isn't very much. And usually they're on one side of the road, I'm on the other. But that's usually how it was before, right? When you're walking outdoors, people kind of give themselves space anyway. But when you are walking, be sure to respect those social distancing rules that we've all kind of memorized by now, at least 6 feet apart from others, at least for the time being. So you need to resist the inclination maybe to reach over and pet that cute dog, maybe the neighbor's dog that you're used to petting all the time, because there is speculation that the virus could live conceivably on the fur of your dog and then bring it into the house. And it's very, very unlikely, but I'm not taking any chances right now when it comes to things like that. So don't let people pet your dog. Just kind of keep a distance when you're walking them. Make sure you have a good stock of food and treats. this is probably what you're doing for yourself too, right? I know I went to all the grocery outlets and all the grocery stores as this thing was gearing up before we even had a shelter in place, because I had a feeling that was coming and my family saw that coming. So our pantry is stocked full of soups and beans and all sorts of things. Finally found a bag of flour. Bought it at a gas station for a lot more than I usually pay at the grocery store, but grocery stores are out of flour and still out of toilet paper in our parts anyway. But keep it stocked for your pets as well. Make sure that there's plenty of food for them on hand. You don't want to run out of food for your pet. You could always make them your own food, but that isn't always healthy for the animal. It's best to keep them on their own diets. So keep them well stocked and keep some treats on hand as well. Keep your pets entertained so that they don't bother you. Give them a chew toy. Give them their usual playthings. And when you're able to take a break from working from home, if that's what you're doing, engage them in a little tug of war maybe. Get a little exercise for both of you. If you have a yard area, go throw the ball out for them. Get them tired. Get their energy out. And for cats, well, chances are you're still getting a lot of Amazon packages. We always break those down, of course, or reuse them, repurpose them, or take them to the cardboard recycling at the local dump. But maybe keep a few extra wherever your cats hang out or play, in the bedroom or in an extra room or in the garage or wherever they are. They love playing with boxes, of course. So that's a good idea there, to get rid of some of those Amazon boxes from the kitchen counter. So basically, keep them entertained, right? And it's good for both of you, exercise for both of you. And it's nice spending that extra time with the pets, I think. I know that Dingus, a.k.a. Perry, a.k.a. Peregrine, and I have a good relationship as father and canine son. But if anything, since I was laid off, it's brought us even closer together. Hopefully this podcast was helpful to you. And if you like the positive nature of the topic and think you'd like to try some more of this podcast, please support the paid version. That's all I ask. You can come back as much as you want for the free stuff, download it all you want, share it all you want, honestly. My main goal is to eventually make a living at this, and the only way I can do that is with subscribers. So please come over to the podcast, try it out for a month, see if you like it. You can get in for $1 a month. That's 3 pennies a day. I don't know of anything. If you know of anything you could buy for 3 pennies a day, let me know. And if anything, a lot of people aren't spending on all the disposable stuff you used to spend money on, right? A lot of coffee shops aren't even open. You're not going out to eat dinner. The movie theaters are closed. You're not going to concerts. So maybe plunk down that $1 a month and try Hughes From The Heart. I'd love to have you. Patreon.com/Spencer Hughes. I'm so grateful that you found this podcast. I'm so grateful that you found Hughes From The Heart. And it's great to meet you here virtually. Maybe one day our paths will cross in person, when things are a little less chaotic in the world. I'm Spencer Hughes. Thanks a lot for your time today.